The gleaming towers of the Galactic Medical Academy rose high into the purple sky of Centauri Prime. Dr. Lisa Murphy stood at the entrance, taking deep breaths of the slightly sweet artificial atmosphere. She smoothed down her white coat and touched the Earth medical badge on her chest for luck. As the first human instructor at the Academy, she knew all eyes would be on her today. The Academy's halls were filled with beings from across the galaxy. Tall, crystalline Zentarians floated past on gravity disks. Snake-like, serpentous doctors slithered efficiently between rooms. 6 armed hexapodians carried stacks of medical texts with ease. Among them all, Lisa was the only human. "Dr. Murphy, welcome to our institution." The voice belonged to Grand Physician Viz, a being who looked like a cross between an octopus and a tree. Their skin shifted colors as they spoke, showing respect patterns in soft blues and greens. "The students are eager to begin your xenobiology course." Lisa smiled and nodded. "Thank you for this opportunity, Grand Physician. I hope to break down some misconceptions about human biology." As they walked to the lecture hall, Viz's skin rippled with curiosity patterns. "Many of our students find humans puzzling. They believe your species is quite fragile." "That's exactly why I'm here," Lisa said. "Humans are far more resilient than most aliens think." The lecture hall was massive, with floating seats arranged in a spiral pattern. Nearly 300 alien medical students waited inside. Lisa noticed one Zentarian student in particular, their crystal form giving off slightly red light, a sign of skepticism in their species. "I am Triox," the Zentarian announced, their voice chiming like bells. "Is it true that humans can only survive in a very narrow temperature range, and that you have no backup organs?" Lisa smiled. She had expected this kind of question. "Actually, humans have survived in temperatures from -40 to +50 degrees Celsius, and while we may not have backup organs, our existing ones are remarkably adaptable." Trilx's crystalline form flickered with doubt. "But your medical records show that humans die from simple falls, temperature changes, or lack of water. How can such a vulnerable species claim to be resilient?" The other students murmured in agreement. Lisa walked to the center of the room and activated the holographic display. "That's why the Grand Physician and I have created this special program. Over the next few months, we'll study real cases of human survival that your current medical knowledge says should be impossible." The hall filled with the sounds of students taking notes, their various appendages tapping on datapads. Viz's skin showed patterns of approval. "Each week, we'll examine a different case," Lisa continued. "You'll learn how humans can survive situations that would kill most other species. More importantly, you'll learn why your assumptions about human fragility are wrong." Shriox raised a crystalline appendage. "And you claim these cases are properly documented, not just human legends." "Every case is verified by both human and alien medical authorities," Lisa assured them. "In fact, our first case study involves a situation that 3 different alien species certified as unsurvivable. Yet the human not only lived but made a full recovery." The students' excitement was almost palpable. Even Trilx's skeptical red glow had shifted to a more interested purple. Grand Physician Viz moved to the front of the hall, their skin showing the formal patterns of an official announcement. "Let the Special Human Survival Studies program begin," they announced, "and may it change our understanding of what is possible in medical science." Lisa looked at the eager faces before her. By the end of this program, these students wouldn't just learn about human survival, they would understand why humans had earned their place among the stars. She opened her medical files and prepared to show them the first case that would challenge everything they thought they knew about human limitations. The holographic display in the Galactic Medical Academy's lecture hall flickered to life, showing a snow-covered mountain range on Earth. Dr. Lisa Murphy stood before her alien students, who watched with various forms of alien attention. Some with multiple eyes, others with sensory tentacles, and a few with crystalline surfaces that reflected the image. "This is Mount Baker, located in the northern part of Earth's American continent," Lisa began. 3 years ago, a human named Peter Collins survived what many alien medical experts claimed was impossible. The image changed to show a man in his 30s, smiling in climbing gear. Several alien students made sounds of surprise at how ordinary he looked. Peter was an experienced mountain climber. Lisa continued. During a solo climb, he was caught in an avalanche. The snow buried him under 20 feet of ice and snow. Shrelks's crystalline form flashed bright red. Then this is a death report. Even Zentarians cannot survive such conditions for more than an hour. Lisa smiled. Peter survived for 3 days under that snow. The lecture hall erupted in chaos. Hexapodian students waved all 6 arms in disbelief. Serpentist doctors pulled up Earth medical texts on their tablets. Even Grand Physician V's skin showed patterns of astonishment. Impossible. Shrelks chimed loudly. The cold alone would kill a human. Your species has no natural insulation, no biological antifreeze, no hibernation abilities. Lisa raised her hand for quiet. Let's look at exactly what happened to Peter's body during those 3 days. The hologram changed to show a medical diagram of the human body. Red areas indicated where Peter's core temperature had dropped. Humans have something we call the mammalian diving reflex, Lisa explained. When faced with extreme cold, our bodies can slow down all vital functions. Our heart rate drops, our breathing slows, and we use less oxygen. A young Serpentist student raised their tail. But what about the water crystals forming in his cells? All our research shows this should cause fatal damage. That's where it gets interesting, Lisa said. Human bodies can produce special proteins that prevent ice crystals from forming inside our cells. Peter's body created these proteins at an unprecedented rate. She showed them Peter's blood work from right after his rescue. The alien students crowded forward. Their various sensory organs focused on the data. But how did he maintain consciousness? Asked another student. Surely his brain would shut down. Peter later reported that he stayed awake for most of the 3 days, Lisa said. He kept his mind active by solving math problems and reciting old songs. This mental activity helped maintain his core temperature just high enough to survive. Shrelks floated closer to the display, and he recovered, without losing limbs or mental function. After 2 weeks in the hospital, Peter made a full recovery, Lisa confirmed. 6 months later, he was climbing mountains again. She showed them the final image. Peter back on Mount Baker, giving a thumbs up to the camera. The alien students studied the picture in silence. But this must be a rare case. Shrelks insisted. A genetic mutation, perhaps. Actually, Lisa said, bringing up more files, there are over 50 documented cases of humans surviving similar conditions, some for even longer periods. Grand Physician Viz moved to the front of the room, their skin showing teaching patterns. Students, what does this tell us about human physiology? A thoughtful silence fell over the room. Finally, a Hexapodian student spoke up. That we need to reconsider what we think is impossible. Exactly, Lisa said. Humans don't just survive despite our limitations. We survive because of how we adapt to them. Our bodies and minds work together in ways your medical texts haven't even begun to understand. She closed the holographic display. For next week, I want you all to review the complete medical file on Peter's case. Pay special attention to his cellular adaptation rates and consciousness logs, because next time, we'll look at a case that challenges everything you think you know about human endurance in extreme heat. As the students filed out, Lisa noticed Shrelks lingering behind. The Zentarian's crystalline form had shifted from skeptical red to a curious blue-green. Dr. Murphy. Shrelks chimed softly. I have more questions about human survival mechanisms. Lisa smiled. The first seeds of understanding had been planted. The afternoon sun of Centauri Prime cast purple shadows through the windows of the Galactic Medical Academy. Dr. Lisa Murphy noticed her alien students seemed more attentive today. Even Shrelks's crystalline form glowed with eager anticipation. Last week, We learned how humans survive extreme cold, Lisa began. Today, we'll study the opposite extreme. Meet Amanda Foster, ultra-marathon runner. The hologram showed a woman in running gear, standing in what looked like an endless desert. Several alien students leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused on the image. The Death Valley Desert Run is one of Earth's most challenging races, Lisa explained. Temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius. The air is dry enough to crack skin. Most aliens consider these conditions lethal. A Serpentis student raised their tail. Our medical texts say humans are mostly water. Wouldn't they simply dry out and die? That's what makes Amanda's case so interesting, Lisa said. During this race, she got lost. Her water supply ran out. She ran for 36 hours in extreme heat with severe dehydration. Grand Physician V's skin rippled with concern patterns. By our calculations, she should have died within 6 hours. Lisa brought up Amanda's medical readings from during the race. Look at how her body adapted. Her sweat glands became more efficient. Her blood thickened to maintain circulation. Her cells changed how they used water. Trialks floated closer to the display. But the human brain needs constant cooling. How did she maintain consciousness? That's where it gets fascinating, Lisa said. She zoomed in on Amanda's brain scans. Her body redirected blood flow to protect her vital organs. She entered what we call a runner's high, a state where the brain produces chemicals that help ignore pain and keep moving. The alien students murmured among themselves. A hexapodian raised 3 of their 6 hands at once. Could she think clearly, make decisions? They asked. Not only could she think, but she also found her way back to the racetrack by following the stars at night, Lisa explained. Her brain adapted to work with less water than we thought possible. She showed them the next set of images, Amanda's rescue. The woman was sunburned and exhausted but still standing. Many alien students made sounds of disbelief. Her blood tests from the rescue show something remarkable. Lisa continued. Her body had started breaking down fat cells more efficiently, creating water as a byproduct. She literally made her own water to survive. Threlx's crystal form flickered with excitement, like a survival mechanism we haven't seen before. Exactly, Lisa said. Humans don't just endure extreme conditions, we adapt to them. Our bodies can change their normal processes in ways that surprise even us. She brought up more data. Amanda's core temperature reached levels that should have caused brain damage. Her dehydration levels were beyond what we consider survivable. But not only did she live, she finished the race after getting medical care. The room fell silent as the alien students processed this information. Grand Physician V's moved forward, their skin showing teaching patterns. Dr. Murphy, they said, could you explain how this connects to the cold survival case from last week? Lisa smiled. Both cases show how human bodies can change their normal functions to survive. In the cold, we slow everything down. In the heat, we speed up certain processes while shutting down others. It's all about adaptation. She showed the final image, Amanda running another race 6 months later. The human body is not fragile, Lisa said. It's incredibly flexible. We don't survive because we're the strongest or most resistant to extreme conditions. We survive because we can change, adapt, and keep going when our normal limits are reached. As the class ended, Lisa noticed Trialks and several other students staying behind to study Amanda's medical charts more closely. Their previous skepticism was giving way to genuine scientific curiosity. Dr. Murphy. Trialks chimed, their crystal form glowing bright blue. I think we need to rewrite our medical texts about human limitations. Lisa nodded. That's exactly why I'm here. And next week's case will challenge your understanding even more. We'll look at how humans can survive injuries that should be instantly fatal. The remaining students buzzed with excitement. Their universe was becoming more interesting with each impossible human survival story. The lecture hall at the Galactic Medical Academy was packed. Word had spread about Dr. Lisa Murphy's unusual human survival cases, and now even senior medical practitioners crowded the observation areas. Shylock sat in the front row, their crystalline form glowing with anticipation. Today, Lisa began, we'll examine what many alien doctors called an unsurvivable accident. She activated the hologram, showing a tall building under construction. This is the case of Daniel Martinez, a construction worker. The image changed to show a smiling man in a hard hat. Several alien students leaned forward, trying to spot anything unusual about this ordinary-looking human. 3 years ago, Daniel fell from the 15th floor of this building, Lisa said. Gasps filled the room. That's about 150 feet, or 45 meters. A hexapodian student raised all 6 arms in confusion. But impact from that height would cause immediate death. The force would shatter all bones. That's what should have happened, Lisa agreed. She pulled up Daniel's initial medical scans. He broke 32 bones. His lungs were punctured. He had severe internal bleeding. Shylock's crystal form flickered rapidly. These injuries match our fatal damage predictions. Yet you say he lived. Not only did he live, Lisa said, bringing up new images, but he made a full recovery. He's back at work today, building even taller buildings. The room erupted in confused chatter. Grand Physician V's skin showed patterns of deep interest as they moved closer to examine the medical data. Let's break down how he survived. Lisa continued. First, the human skeleton isn't just for support. Our bones are living tissue that can repair themselves. She showed detailed scans of Daniel's healing process. Watch how his bone cells multiply and rebuild. Notice how the new bone growth is actually stronger at the breakpoints. A Serpentis doctor in the observation area spoke up. But the internal damage, the blood loss alone, should have been fatal. Lisa nodded. This is where human emergency responses become fascinating. Daniel's body instantly went into survival mode. His blood vessels contracted to reduce blood loss. His heart rate changed to maintain blood pressure. His body released chemicals that helped him stay conscious despite the pain. She displayed Daniel's blood work from right after the accident. Look at these hormone levels. His body produced massive amounts of natural painkillers and healing accelerants. But how did he survive the impact itself? Shylock asked, their crystal form now a deep blue of concentration. Humans have something we call relaxed fall response. Lisa explained. Sometimes, when people don't have time to tense up, they fall like a rag doll. This spreads out the impact force. Daniel doesn't remember the fall, which might have helped him survive it. The alien students furiously took notes. Grand Physician V's skin showed teaching patterns. And the recovery process, they asked. Surely it took Earth years. Lisa smiled and brought up Daniel's recovery timeline. 8 months. He spent 2 months in hospital and 6 in rehabilitation. Look at these tissue regeneration rates. The medical data showed how Daniel's body had healed itself. Bone knitting together, muscles rebuilding, organs repairing themselves. But the most remarkable part, Lisa continued, was his determination. Human medical studies show that our mental state affects our healing. Daniel decided he would walk again, and that determination helped his body recover. She showed the final image, Daniel back at work, standing on a high beam without fear. This case teaches us something important about humans, Lisa said. We don't just heal. We often become stronger at our broken places, both physically and mentally. After class, Shylock stayed behind again. Their crystalline form had changed from its usual sharp edges to a softer, more contemplative shape. Dr. Murphy, they chimed softly, I've been reviewing all your cases. There's a pattern emerging. Humans don't just survive. They adapt and grow stronger from these experiences. Lisa nodded. That's exactly right. And next week's case will show you something even more incredible. How humans can survive using nothing but the power of their minds. As Shylock floated away, their crystal form glowed with a new color, one that in Zentarian culture meant wonderful mystery. The impossible was becoming possible, one human case at a time. The purple sunset of Centauri Prime painted the Galactic Medical Academy's lecture hall in soft shadows. Today's class had drawn the largest crowd yet, with medical professionals from 3 different star systems in attendance. Shrylx's crystalline form glowed with a shade of deep blue that showed complete attention. Today, Dr. Lisa Murphy began. We'll explore something that many alien doctors consider impossible: how human minds can affect physical healing. She brought up an image of a woman in her 40s. Meet Samantha Wright, who survived an illness that had a 100% fatality rate. The alien audience stirred with interest. Grand Physician V's skin showed patterns of scientific curiosity. Samantha was diagnosed with a rare nerve disease. Lisa continued. All previous patients had died within 3 months. The disease was destroying her nervous system, cell by cell. She displayed Samantha's initial medical scans. The alien students leaned forward, their various sensory organs focusing on the data. According to these readings, death was certain. A Serpentis doctor commented. The nerve decay pattern is clear. That's what every doctor told her, Lisa agreed. But Samantha refused to accept it. She joined an experimental treatment program. But here's where it gets interesting. She paused for effect. Half the patients in the program received a real medicine. The other half received a harmless sugar water. Samantha was in the sugar water group. Shrylx's form flickered with confusion. You mean she received no actual treatment? Just water? Exactly, Lisa said. But Samantha believed she was getting medicine. And look what happened to her nerve cells. She showed new scans taken over 3 months. The room fell silent as the aliens studied the images. The nerve damage was slowly reversing. Impossible, whispered a Hexapodian student. Cell regeneration without medical intervention. This is what humans call the placebo effect. Lisa explained. When we believe we're getting medicine, our bodies can actually heal themselves. Samantha's belief triggered real physical changes in her body. She brought up more detailed scans. Her brain started producing chemicals that protected her nerve cells. Her immune system became more active. Her body began repairing damage that was supposed to be permanent. Grand Physician V's moved closer to the display, their skin showing amazement patterns. Are you suggesting human belief can change biological reality? In ways we're still trying to understand, Lisa said. Samantha's case isn't unique. We have thousands of documented cases where human belief affected physical healing. She showed them studies from Earth's medical history, cases where fake surgeries had real healing effects. Patients recovering because they believed they would. Even examples of people fighting off infections through meditation and focused thought. But how is this possible? Shrylx asked, their crystal form shimmering with excitement. The mind cannot change physical matter. Actually, it can, Lisa said. Human consciousness affects our bodies in measurable ways. Our thoughts can change our heart rate, blood pressure, immune response, and even gene expression. She brought up new images showing brain scans. When humans firmly believe they will heal, their brains release powerful chemicals. These chemicals can reduce pain, boost immune function, and speed up tissue repair. A young Serpentis student raised their tail. Did Samantha ever learn she received the placebo? Yes, Lisa smiled. But by then, she was completely healed. Today, she teaches other patients how to use their minds to help their healing. The final image showed Samantha leading a meditation class for hospital patients. Her previously damaged nervous system now showed no signs of the deadly disease. This case teaches us something crucial about humans, Lisa said. Our minds and bodies are not separate systems. They work together in ways that seem impossible to other species. After class, Shrylx lingered as usual. Their crystalline form had developed a new pattern, one that showed deep contemplation. Dr. Murphy, they chimed. I must admit something. I used to think humans were simple beings. Now I realize you're far more complex than we imagined. Lisa nodded. And next week's case will challenge your understanding even further. We'll look at how humans can survive in environments that should be instantly lethal. As the aliens filed out, Lisa noticed their various expressions of wonder. The impossible was becoming a regular occurrence in her classroom, one human miracle at a time. The lecture hall of the Galactic Medical Academy buzzed with nervous energy. Word had spread that today's case would be the most extreme yet. Shrylks floated at the front, their crystalline form glowing with intense blue anticipation. Even Grand Physician V's skin showed patterns of unusual excitement. Today's case, Dr. Lisa Murphy began, involved survival at crushing depths. She activated the hologram, showing a deep-sea research station. This is the story of Chris Patterson, a deep-sea maintenance worker who survived what 3 different alien species called certain death conditions. The image changed to show a smiling man in diving gear. Several alien students made notes about his ordinary appearance. 2 years ago, Chris was repairing an underwater cable when his pressure suit malfunctioned. Lisa continued. He was at a depth of 800 meters, under pressure that should have crushed his organs instantly. Shrylks's crystal form flickered rapidly. But that's over 80 atmospheres of pressure. Even our deep-sea species can't handle sudden pressure changes like that. Exactly, Lisa said. When Chris's suit failed, he had less than 10 seconds before the pressure should have killed him. His backup system was broken. His emergency pod was too far away. She brought up the sensor readings from Chris's suit. The alien students watched in horror as the pressure numbers climbed to lethal levels. By all known medical science, his blood should have filled with nitrogen bubbles. His lungs should have collapsed. His brain should have shut down, Lisa explained. But Chris did something remarkable. She played the audio recording from his suit. Chris's voice was calm as he spoke. Control, suit failure. Implementing emergency protocol Baker 7. Baker 7 was something Chris had created himself, Lisa said. It was a technique combining special breathing methods with mental focus. He had practiced it hundreds of times in safer conditions. The medical readings showed something extraordinary. As the pressure increased, Chris's body began to adapt. Look at his blood chemistry, Lisa pointed out. His body started absorbing the excess nitrogen. His lung tissues compressed in a controlled way. His heart rate slowed to preserve oxygen. A Serpentis doctor raised their tail in disbelief. But the cellular damage from pressure changes should have been fatal. Yes, Lisa interrupted. But humans have something called the diving response. It's usually used for short dives, but Chris pushed it to its absolute limit. She showed them detailed scans of Chris's body during the incident. His blood vessels constricted to protect his vital organs. His spleen released extra oxygen-carrying cells. His body essentially changed its own chemistry to survive. How long did he endure these conditions? Grand Physician Viz asked, their skin showing intense interest patterns. 17 minutes, Lisa replied. The room fell silent. It took 17 minutes for the rescue team to reach him. He remained conscious the entire time, carefully controlling his breathing and staying focused despite the pain. Shrylks floated closer to the display, their crystal form now pulsing with a deep purple of amazement. And the long-term damage. Lisa smiled and brought up Chris's current medical scans. After 3 weeks in a medical pod, he made a complete recovery. His body actually adapted to become more resistant to pressure changes. He's back at work, training other divers in his survival technique. The final image showed Chris teaching a class of new deep-sea workers. He looked healthy and confident, showing no signs of his near-death experience. This case represents something unique about humans, Lisa said. We don't just survive by accident. We study our close calls, learn from them, and teach others how to survive too. After class, Shrylks didn't just stay behind. They were practically glowing with excitement. Dr. Murphy, they chimed, I need to completely rewrite my thesis. Everything we thought we knew about human limitations was wrong. You're not surviving despite being fragile. You're surviving because you can adapt to almost anything. Lisa nodded. And next week, for our final case, I'll show you the most amazing example yet, how humans can survive when all of these survival mechanisms work together. As Skrelks floated away, their crystal form shimmered with a color that had never been seen in the Academy before, a shade that could only mean profound revelation. The final session at the Galactic Medical Academy drew an unprecedented crowd. Medical professionals from 12 star systems packed the lecture hall. Skrelks sat in their usual front spot, their crystalline form glowing with all the colors they had shown throughout the course: blue for curiosity, purple for amazement, and the new shade of revelation. "Welcome to our final session," Dr. Lisa Murphy began. "Today, we'll see how all the survival mechanisms we studied work together. But first, I'd like to invite Skrelks to present their findings." The Zentarian floated to the center of the room, their crystal form sparkling with excitement. "When this course began, I thought humans were fragile," Skrelks chimed. "Now I understand. Humans are the most adaptable species we've ever encountered. They survive not because they're the strongest, but because they never stop adapting." Skrelks activated the hologram, showing all the previous cases together. "Look at the patterns. In extreme cold, they slow down their bodies. In extreme heat, they adjust their chemistry. Under pressure, they change their cellular structure. When injured, they grow back stronger. When their minds believe in healing, their bodies respond." The alien audience nodded in agreement. Grand Physician V's skin showed patterns of pride in their students' understanding. "But today," Lisa said, taking over, "we'll see all of these abilities working at once. Meet Alice Rogers, deep-sea volcano researcher." The hologram showed a woman in her 50s, standing beside underwater research equipment. The alien students leaned forward, wondering what impossible survival story she would represent. "Last year, Alice was studying an underwater volcano when everything went wrong," Lisa continued. "An unexpected eruption damaged her facility. She faced extreme heat from the volcano, crushing depths from the ocean, toxic gases from the vents, and severe injuries from falling debris." The room fell silent as Lisa displayed the environmental readings. The numbers were beyond lethal for most species. "By any single measure, she should have died," Lisa said. "The heat alone was past survivable limits. The pressure was crushing. Her injuries were severe. She had no working equipment, no backup, and no immediate rescue possible." Skrelks' form flickered with understanding. "But all the survival mechanisms we studied." "Exactly," Lisa smiled. Alice's body began adapting in multiple ways at once. Her diving response kicked in to handle the pressure. Her heat adaptation managed the temperature. Her body went into survival mode to deal with the injuries. And most importantly, her mind remained clear and focused. She showed them Alice's medical readings during the incident. The alien doctors crowded forward, amazed by what they saw. "She used meditative techniques to slow her breathing and heart rate," Lisa explained. "She remembered her cold water survival training to handle the temperature shifts. She applied pressure point techniques to control her bleeding. Every survival mechanism we studied, she used together." "How long did she survive these conditions?" a Serpentis doctor asked. 4 hours, Lisa replied. The room erupted in astonished murmurs. She kept herself alive for 4 hours until rescue arrived, in conditions that should have killed her in minutes. The final image showed Alice back at work, teaching new researchers. She had made a complete recovery and even improved safety protocols based on her experience. Grand Physician V's moved to the center of the room, their skin showing formal announcement patterns. Based on these findings, the Galactic Medical Council has approved a new classification for humans. They are no longer listed as Class 3 limited survival species. They are now classified as Class 1 adaptive species. The room burst into excited discussion. Skrelks' crystal form glowed brighter than ever. "Dr. Murphy," they chimed, "what's next? What other impossible things can humans survive?" Lisa smiled. "That's the most amazing thing about humans. Skrelks, We never stop finding new ways to survive. Each impossible situation teaches us something new. And now, thanks to this program, the whole galaxy will learn from our experiences. As the final class ended, the alien doctors left with a new understanding. Humans weren't just another species in the galaxy. They were living proof that the impossible was just another challenge to overcome.